As promised, training camp coverage part 2. Let's get it. So picking up right where we left off in part 1. Let's get right into it. So the Warriors got an open competition for the starting shooting guard spot. We got Podziemski, De'Anthony Melton, and Buddy Hield all vying for that starting spot. You also got Moody in the mix as well. Let's see what the chef has to say about that open shooting guard position.
What's ideal for you as a starting backcourt, Nate?
I think we have options, obviously. We have a defensive-minded guy like Melton. You got a guy that's kind of a connector, can put the ball on the floor, create with BP. Obviously, me and BP started a couple times last year. You got Buddy who can shoot, space the floor, veteran who knows how to play. We got a lot of options. I don't know, and then how with the backcourt in combination with our front court with size and versatility. There's a lot of things that we got to figure out this camp. To summarize it, I like where we're at with our options, though, because
as you can see, Steph said a whole lot of nothing. But he did acknowledge the fact that there's a lot of good options. Between Pods, Melton, and Buddy, the Warriors got 3 options that all bring something different to the table. Melton's your defensive-minded option. That's also a good three-point shooter. But he's your floor spacer and marksman. And you got Pods as a connector. He's going to bring some ball handling, some playmaking. He's going to push the pace, a dribble pass shoot guy. Reporters asked Pods about the starting shooting guard competition. And this is what he said.
How do you kind of view the little competition happening right now for that 2 spot?
Me, De'Anthony, and Buddy, we just playing, and I think it'll be a lot of times whether I start, whether De'Anthony starts, whether Buddy starts. A lot of the time we're going to be on the court together, and so I know for all of us, none of us care who starts. We just want to be out there and play, and at the end of the day, we all trust that coach is going to make the decision, and that's going to be the right one for the team. But we love the competition. I know De'Anthony is an ultra competitor just like me, and we go at it every day.
Look, respectfully, that whole statement by Paz was straight cap. Of course they all care. Of course they all want to start. All these dudes think they're the best guy for the job to start. And for whoever doesn't get the starting spot, they're going to be disappointed. Now, they're going to be a good sport about it. They're going to support their teammates. They're going to say all the right things to the media. But deep down, they're going to be like, I deserve that spot. That's just how it is on this level, man. You got to have the ultimate confidence in yourself. So shout out to Paz for being media trained and knowing exactly what to say in that situation. But we all know Paz's personality. We know he fully expects to start. We know he thinks he's the best option. Pivoting over to Buddy, here's a few quotes from Steve Kerr on Buddy Hield. He said without Klay, his elite three-point shooting is going to be vital to this team. He says he can score in multiple ways besides shooting. By leveraging the threat of his outside shot, he's able to use that advantage to get to the rim. He can score in transition. He's a player that teams have to account for at all times. Not because he's this unstoppable force getting downhill, but because of how deadly he is from the three-point line. On fast breaks, when the defense isn't set, it's essentially a broken play. And Buddy Hield's the type of player that thrives off of broken plays. If he gets even a small window of daylight, he's letting it fly. And as a career 40+% three-point shooter, he's going to make you pay more often than not. Running to the three-point line on fast breaks is an easy way for Buddy to get up some open threes. Draymond said Buddy Hield and Klay are similar in ways, but he acknowledged the fact that Buddy Hield actually moves more than Klay, similar to Steph Curry. Now, he's not insinuating that Buddy Hield is a more lethal three-point shooter than Klay. He's simply saying that Buddy utilizes motion offense more than Klay does. Having another movement shooter besides Steph will be huge for this offense. Let's go over a few quotes from Steve Kerr on Moses Moody. He says Moody looks great in camp so far. Kerr said the main thing that him and the coaching staff has harped on with Moody is locked in on his catch and shoot and really been efficient in that aspect of his game. Not catch and hold the ball, not catch and take a dribble. As soon as you catch the ball, if you got a sliver of daylight, let it fly and have a confidence in your ability. But Kerr has acknowledged the fact that Moody does look way more confident in his three-point shooting, specifically his catch and shoot. With that being said, I don't think Moody's in the mix for the starting shooting guard spot. I think the Warriors view him as a small forward more than anything. So unfortunately for Moody, I think he's going to be fighting with GP2 for backup small forward minutes behind Wiggins. And if GP2 is fully healthy, there's no guarantee Moody's winning out in those minutes. In conclusion, when it comes to the starting shooting guard spot, if it was up to me, I would go with Melton. I don't think there's any circumstance where Buddy starts. Now, I know a lot of Warriors fans are like, why not Buddy Hield? He's just not solid enough defensively to warrant putting him in the starting lineup. I would consider Buddy a below average defender. I would consider Pods an average defender. And I would consider Melton elite. Like I said, they all have their strengths and weaknesses and bring different things to the table. But unfortunately for Buddy, I think his skill set works better with the second unit as a designated sniper off the bench. But trust me, there'll be plenty of minutes throughout the season where the splash buddies are in full effect, with Buddy and Steph sharing a court together. Like I said in my previous video, Media Day Part 1, everything the Warriors are indicating is that they're emphasizing defense this season. And Melton is just the cleanest 3-and-D fit there. I think Paz is better utilizing the second unit, where his ball handling and playmaking will be a lot more valuable lead in the second unit. When asked about his first matchup with Klay, Draymond said this: Klay's my brother, but I'm going through his chest when we play the Mavs. Draymond's basically saying like, yo, Klay, you're my guy. I'm always gonna have love for you. You're my brother, but when we're on a court, I'm caving your chest in, bro. I'm caving that chest in. And hey, man, I'm all for it. It's all competition, bro. As long as he doesn't cross the line and get suspended, Draymond and Klay are both highly competitive guys. So I'm sure it's going to be a lot of trash talking, a lot of back and forth. And that level of physicality is just what comes with it. Like I said, as long as he doesn't cross the line, I'm all good with this. Now, if we see Draymond revving up like a bull and shoulder charge Klay while he's like mid-shot or something, that's a problem. Like, we can't Come on, bro. We can't be doing that. But add a little extra, physicality in the spirit of the game. Hey, man, it's all good, bro. Here's another big topic. Draymond blatantly said he doesn't think Kuminga can play the 4. Let's check out the clip.
I think he's a 3. It's always been my opinion. That's not going to change, I think. To play the 4, it requires a certain skill set. So oftentimes, people approach the 4 as if it's not a position and think like, oh, I can just move a guy there. No, it's a position that you have to know how to play. You don't think anybody can play point guard. The 4 is the same thing, It requires a certain skill set, a certain knowledge, a certain understanding of that position to do that. He's never done it. Can he adjust and learn that? I don't know. Can a receiver learn how to be a quarterback in 2 years? So, my eyes here 3.
Yo, these are pretty blunt statements from Draymond. And Justin, aka The Package, had a perfect explanation for this on Twitter. He's not a power forward on defense, and that's the issue. Not enough physicality, awareness for the typical 4 responsibilities. Offensively, there are no traditional positions. There's ball handlers, slashers, shooters, and connectors. There are guys 1 through 5 that fill each of these roles. I mean, that's spot on. When you listen to these Draymond clips, that's essentially what he's insinuating. Just because you're power forward size doesn't mean you can play power forward. Kuminga didn't grow up playing power forward. He grew up playing on a wing. So it's not a natural thing for him to just switch over at how he's been playing his whole life. All of a sudden adjust to these new responsibilities as a power forward. So there you have it. You got Draymond basically saying he doesn't believe Kuminga's a power forward. Draymond himself also said he's at his best playing next to a center, which means he prefers to play power forward himself.
Does this team need more like you at the 4 next to a center? Or?
Yeah, I think so. I'm really good next to a center. I mean, I'm decent at the center, but I think I'm really good next to the center. And so, I think just having that option to go to that, I think is huge. I know how to play the center spot, but if I'm at the center spot, then the 4 will require someone that can kind of play that type of role that I can play.
So my takeaway from these quotes is that Draymond prefers playing a 4 next to TJD versus playing a 5 next to JK at the 4. That's his preference, that's what he thinks is best for the team, and he's making his opinion felt. One thing Kerr has emphasized repeatedly is that the Warriors are going to prioritize defense and defense-heavy lineups. And if that's the case, a Wiggins, Draymond, TJD frontcourt is way better defensively than a Wiggins, JK, Draymond frontcourt, which leads us to Kuminga's situation. Let's just say Golden State doesn't get that extension done with JK before the October 21st deadline, and they decide for defensive reasons that they want to start TJD over Kuminga, which forces JK to come off the bench. How well does that conversation go over with Kuminga in his camp going into year 4, still being asked to come off the bench, with possibly $200 million on the line? I don't think that's going to go too well. Does this start to become a locker room issue? Because let's be honest, in terms of optics and negotiations, Kuminga coming off the bench in year 4, all but assures he's not getting a max contract. Like, bro, no team's offering a max contract to a 4th-year player still coming off the bench. Regardless of circumstances, it's just the optics of it, bro. If you can't definitively win out and be a starter after year 4, teams aren't risking a max contract on you, especially in this new financial landscape with the 1st and 2nd April penalties. Teams ain't taking that risk, bro. So JK has a lot on the line. If he doesn't get the nod as a starter, does he demand a trade? That's an interesting question. In JK's mind, he's better than Scotty Barnes and Franz Wagner. At the very least, he views them as his equals. And why shouldn't he? For him to be told he has to come off the bench again in year 4, while all his peers have free reign on their own teams to make mistakes, play heavy minutes, get as many shots as they want, rack up all these stats while getting compensated with max contracts, bro, come on, man. Like, he's gonna feel some type of way. Who wouldn't? Especially when you feel like you're better than these dudes. But hey, man, let's just see how it plays out. All right, let's get to a few notable quotes from Kerr. He says the Warriors are going to put an emphasis on playing fast this season. He wants them to be a high-volume three-point shooting team this year. He wants Wiggins to take 6 to 7 threes per game. He says they're going to have to replace Klay's three-point shooting volume by committee. He says they're working on simplifying some aspects of their offense and adding more structure so it's easier for the young guys, who they're going to count on a lot. Kerr said he wants them to get back to being a high-level two-way team like they were in 2022, where they were the 2nd-ranked defense, and although they only ranked middle of the pack in offense, their offense was good enough, especially when it mattered most in the playoffs when you got Steph Curry, who's the greatest offensive engine of all time. I mean, that's the vision, man. You put a defense lineup out there, and then you got Wardell, Steph, and Curry to carry you on offense. But at 36 years old, it's not that easy. Steph's going to need some help offensively. Somebody has to step up. In 2022, it was Wiggins. This season, we're going to have to see that version of Wiggins again, on top of Kuminga taking a leap. Kuminga and Wiggins both got to be consistent near 20-point per game scorers every single night. If Steph has to average 30 points per game this season, we're in trouble. Ideally, you want Steph around 24, 25 points per game, with Kuminga up around 20, 21, and Wiggins up around 19 or 20. If Paz can get up to like 15, that'd be cool too. But we should not heavily be relying on Steph offensively. I mean, the dude's turning 37 years old this season. It can't be a Steph save us offense anymore. Here's more notable quotes from Steve Kerr. Kerr said when Draymond's out, Kyle Anderson's an excellent plug-and-play option to replace him because he's able to emulate a lot of the things that Draymond does. when it comes to the defensive IQ, the point forward ability, transition passing, the ability to defend multiple positions, excellent switch defender, Kyle Anderson checks a lot of boxes that Draymond does, something the Warriors have never had in the past. Usually when Draymond's out, the Warriors have no one that can come close to emulating anything he does. So having Kyle Anderson is essentially a baby Draymond. It's something that's going to give Kerr a peace of mind when Draymond's out. Kerr said Kyle making threes is just a bonus because he brings so much more to the table. He says he sees Kyle playing small ball center for sure, and perhaps even throwing him out there with Draymond to form a high IQ, defensive-minded playmaking frontcourt. So yeah, man, I'm excited about the Kyle Anderson addition. Usually when Draymond's out, the Warriors are cooked. He's such a unique player that it's hard to replace everything he does with one player. But when you look around the league, Kyle Anderson is as close as you can get to replacing Draymond for a bench player at an affordable price. All right, here's Steve Kerr's early opinion on Quinton Post. He says playing 5 years in college is meaningful, and you can feel that. He's a very physical player in all aspects of the game, and he's a good three-point shooter, which we already knew. But hearing Steve Kerr reiterate that is nice, which means he's knocking him down in scrimmages. He said he has good feel for a passer, dribble handoff guy, which is important in this Warriors offense. Kerr says he's excited for Quinton Post and says he has a chance to fill a role that they don't really have, a pick and pop big. This next quote's interesting. Kerr says he doesn't think they've ever had a big that's a legit 7 feet tall that can shoot and bring physicality, but also knows he has a long way to go. He's not anticipating Quinton Post being an impact guy this season and says he'll spend a lot of time in Santa Cruz. Kerr said grabbing a big that has size, skill, and toughness, who's also really smart in the second round, is a hell of a draft pick. Yo, I'm not trying to get too excited, but those are some very intriguing quotes from Steve Kerr on Quinton Post. I mean, if you think about it, if all those attributes holds true, that's a very rare archetype, a legit 7-foot big man who's physical like a big man, who throws his weight around. And Quinton Post is a legit 250, 260. He's also a natural shooter who also apparently has good feel and IQ. Here's a clip from Draymond speaking on his impression of Quinton Post.
What are your early impressions of Quinton?
I like him a lot. He can shoot the ball. He's super physical. He seeks contact on both sides of the floor, which not always common in this league today. So I like Quinton. He's smart and he talks. He's one of the guys I'm more impressed with.
Following up with TJD, Kerr said Trayce has definitely improved. Kerr said Trayce is feeling that second year jump where everything makes more sense. He's making quicker decisions. Now the biggest topic in regards to Trayce is that he grew an inch at 24 years old. So here's a clip of Trayce actually addressing that rumor.
Did you get taller than something? Yeah. I think I grew like a quarter of an inch. Because when we were right before training camp, I told him my knees were hurting like a month before. And then one of the performance guys was like, all right, we have to get heights for training camp. And he was like, you're like almost just about 6'9" without your shoes. And last year I was 6'9" with my shoes on. So about probably 6'10" with my shoes now. So quarter inch. I mean,
Is there any way you can feel that on the court? I assume probably.
not really, but like, I don't know. Maybe I just have to play against some people and see. So it is what it is.
So there you have it. Apparently he grew 1/4 of an inch. But hey man, getting a growth spurt of any kind at 24 is still pretty dope regardless. Anyways, that's all I got for y'all. That was part 2 of Warriors Training Camp Media Day coverage. If y'all want me to make a part 3, let me know in the comments. If we get 150 likes on this video, I'll definitely make it happen. If I entertained you or you learned something new, do me a favor. Hit the subscribe button. I'll holler at you on the next one. Peace.